Now, before we jump into today's video, I want to quickly mention why there wasn't a video yesterday, and the one that should have gone out was this video right here. The reason for that is actually quite interesting and quite simple, and I want to kind of give you guys the information regarding that. So essentially, I was wrapping up this video yesterday, and I got a very last minute message and slash request from Codemasters directly, asking me if I could step up and take part in the F1 Esports Challenger Series, which was absolutely insane. As you guys know, I've been doing a lot of league racing lately. I've been improving, getting a lot quicker, as you've seen on this series, racing with max difficulty in a Williams. And essentially there was a list of like 6 or 7 reserve drivers, and I was at the very bottom of the list. So the chances of me actually getting a call and stepping up to the series was extremely unlikely. But things happened, and basically I was drafted last minute. So essentially it ruined my plans of getting the video finished for yesterday. I had to just do as much practice as I could for the races last night, and I'll do a video on that hopefully tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. And if it's not tomorrow, it'll be in the next couple of days. But basically it just kind of ruined my plans in terms of content, so that's why this video is going out today. And from now on, I believe I am taking part in the F1 Esports Challenger Series. I'll leave a link down below, guys, for more information regarding that. And I streamed that race last night on my Twitch, so go follow me on there as well, guys. Link down below in the description. But anyway, ramble aside, I'm now apparently trying to qualify for F1 Esports. So if you guys want to check that out, then feel free. And also check out my league racing content, guys, because that's where I've been putting a lot of work in, especially with PSGL and also ORL formerly. But anyway, I'm going to stop waffling. Hopefully you guys understand. If you missed the previous episode, I'll leave the episode link up in the top right hand corner of the screen as always. And yeah, without further ado, let's get today's episode underway. It's the British Grand Prix. It's at Silverstone, probably the AI's strongest track of the entire game. So let's jump into it, and hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm not too far off the pace, because the 110 AI at Silverstone are absolutely ridiculous. Now for today's episode, we're going to kick things off with a classic event, something different and something to kind of break up the repetitiveness of these episodes. And we are doing a time attack around Japan short in the 1988 McLaren MP44. The target was to finish 3 laps within an allocated time, which I believe was about 2 minutes, and so each lap has to be about 45 seconds, give or take, maybe 50 seconds. And to be fair, it's pretty straightforward. Once I got to grips with the car after the first lap, the other 2 were quite quick, and we smashed it at the park. And it's good fun driving these cars for once in a while to kind of break up the repetitiveness of the career mode. And we smashed it at the park. We've done it in just over 2 minutes. I believe we had about 10 seconds to spare. And we're going to get an extra 1,000 acclaim points, which is awesome. So you can see in the top right, we are level 9 as we head into the next race at Silverstone. We now have quality control level 2 on the powertrain, so Williams have invested on that, which is great. So finally some form of upgrades on the facility front. Hopefully they'll bring a few more. As we jump into the weekend though at Silverstone, we have nice dry conditions all the way through. Looking at the R&D graph, we do bring a major upgrade for the second race in succession, but unfortunately Alfa Romeo, Haas and also AlphaTauri bring upgrades of their own, so we don't really make much progress. We've got more upgrades in the pipeline, but even those, once they arrive, are not going to be enough to help us get ahead of Alfa Romeo, which is frustrating because I'm bringing upgrades every single race, but we can't bring stuff as quickly as I'd like, because simply put, the facilities of the Williams team are just so far behind, we can't really develop that much. So yeah, with that said, we move into practice for the British Grand Prix, my home race, the team's home race of course, and it was a bit of a struggle. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I had a pretty decent setup from my league racing, and it didn't really help too much. So essentially I could go pretty quick, but the car was extremely unstable. And you're going to see now on this clip as we head through Cops that I tried to push on my quali run, or my quali sim in practice, and I had a nice classic Spinella through Cops corner. So yeah, not the best way to end practice, but we do score a decent amount of R&D points. And just before qualifying, we are actually going to update some of the engine components, because we need to make a small adjustment on those. It is my home race. This is a power circuit, so I want full power available. We'll kind of go back to those components for the next race at Hungary, which is less power sensitive. And we're going to hopefully do a decent race here today, because this is going to be tough. I know, I'm bracing myself. If you know my channel, you know my content, and you know how this game works. This track is so difficult. It was in the past anyway, but this year is the hardest track in the game. With the AI It's their strongest circuit. And in qualifying, we did the exact same thing as practice. Yeah, nice little spin. We almost collected Ferrari there, but luckily we just about slowed the car down enough. Flipped the car around, and yeah, not the best start to qualifying, let's say, getting a spin like that. But nonetheless, we're going to get on with it as we make our way through Stowe. And this is my second qualifying lap in Q1, to be fair. A little bit wide out of track limits there as I pick up a lot of understeer as we now make our way through the final couple of corners here. P20, of course, right now. Let's see where this lap is going to put us as we go P17. So that's not too bad. Looks like we split the Haas cars. We're just behind Gasly and I believe ahead of our teammate. But we now cut onto my final lap in qualifying. We're currently P18. Can we pull anything out of the bag? We're about to find out. Let's go for a full lap of the Silverstone Circuit.
Okay, there's 2 minutes left in this session and we're in the drop zone. We need a quick lap, or that's qualifying over for us.
And there we go, across the line. We improved by over 2.5 tenths, so it's a pretty strong lap. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough, and we only progressed to P18, and we actually get out qualified by George Russell. So fair play to George. Pretty decent session from him. Again, this is a reality check for us. We've had a great season so far, but this track is going to be tough. And yeah, we get knocked down Q1. In many ways, this is what 110 AI probably should be, to be fair. I know it's pretty easy around the other tracks for me now, so this is more of a challenge in many ways. But yeah, we finish in 18th behind George, and we are out in Q1. So in the end, a bit of a disappointing session, but not much more I could have done. We look at the rivalry, of course, and Vettel is going to score 1 extra point and extend his lead, and also some very small gains for us in the driver acclaim. But guys, that's going to be it for qualifying. We're now going to move into the race for the British Grand Prix and hopefully try and have a better race performance.
Welcome along then to Great Britain and the Great Silverstone Circuit for today's Grand Prix. The 3.6-mile-long Silverstone Circuit is one of the longest of the season, with 18 corners in the current layout. With average lap speeds reaching around 145 miles per hour, it's also one of the quickest tracks of the year. Watch out for cars taking the right-handers of Abbey and Copse flat out. With me today, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Now, I want to ask you about Lewis Hamilton. As ever, the threat of unreliability is never far away, and indeed they'll be starting out of position today due to a power unit component change. So it's going to be a difficult task to move forward from there.
Everyone has to deal with penalties or reliability issues from time to time throughout their career. You just have to suck up the pain and get on with the job at hand. Today isn't about performing a miracle to put the car back where it should be. It's about effective damage limitation.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Albon, Charles Leclerc and Stroll, Vettel, Ricciardo, Sainz and Lando Norris. Hamilton, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Ocon, Pierre Gasly and Grosjean. Raikkonen, Kvyat, George Russell and Martinez. Magnussen and Antonio Giovinazzi starts from the back of the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
Okay guys, here we go. It's time for the British Grand Prix. We start from 18th place on the grid, and for once we are behind George Russell. The race itself is going to be quite tough. This is definitely the AI's strongest track, and there is a very realistic possibility we may not score points here today. I'm going to try and do my best. Hopefully strategy could help us out. We are going to start the race on the medium tyres and then switch to the softs. We'll probably pit a bit earlier though than what it says on the screen, because the soft tyres do last quite long around here. So we might pit lap 15 or something like that. Either way, it's not going to be the easiest race, and we are going to be struggling for pace. Fuel wise, I've overfueled by 1 lap because there's a lot of straights around here and we're going to need to defend and attack. But yeah, hopefully we can try and pull something out the bag. You never know, a safety car or something might come in handy for us. But for now, we're going to try and send it and hope for the very best. Okay, here we go. We're going to go down to lean revs and get ready for the 5 red lights. Lights out and away we go. Not a great start. We lose out to Magnussen. Giovinazzi gets a pretty poor start behind us. As we go through turn 1, we're going to try and see if we can fight our way back through here. We're going to send it on the brakes quite aggressively down the inside of turn 3. We're going to try and get ahead of Russell. Outside for turn 4, can we go the long way round? I can be Raikkonen here. A little bit of short shifting to get the traction down. And we do get ahead of Raikkonen, which is great. We're going to get a nice run on Gasly and Grosjean here, but we're going to just hang back for now. Let's see what these guys do on lap 1. Oh, Raikkonen tries to dive it on the inside there. A bit of a late move from Kimi, bit of contact. Luckily, neither of us go for a spin. Raikkonen may have wing damage, but that is a good start from us. P15 actually, we recovered quite well after a pretty poor getaway. It's going to be a tough race though. The target for now is to stay within DRS range of the cars ahead, which won't be easy, but that's what we've got to try and do if we want to stay in the race. If we drop out of DRS range, we could be in big trouble with this race, so it's very important to stick with the pack. But I'm not super optimistic. You can see I'm struggling here to already hang on to the back of these guys. The AI, as always, will drain their ERS in the first 2 laps, so it's important to hold on for 1 more lap here. So I'm going to get my head down, as usual. I'm going to try and focus straight away and try and make every single corner count. Gasly going for the move on Romain Grosjean here. This is going to help us just keep up a little bit. I've had to use a lot of ERS to stay just about within a second this lap. I really don't have the pace right now, but hopefully now the race will kind of stabilise a little bit, as the AI should be out.
DRS is being enabled this lap. We can use DRS when you are within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone.
Yeah, the AI should be out of DRS now, so ERS, should I say. So yeah, we should be doing okay, but I'm not feeling super confident. The car feels very unstable, like in qualifying. It seems like the setup that I'm using, what I normally use around here, isn't working, which is a bit of a shame. But that's just down to the Williams, unfortunately. It's just not a great car at the minute. Oh my god, the car is very unstable. There was a bit of separation in the pack, but we've now caught back up. So Gasly has caught the pack. He's been pulling Grosjean along, and I've been kind of clinging on to Grosjean. I still am, really. I'm having to use a lot of ERS to stay within range. I really don't have the pace. I'm so DRS slipstream dependent around here. It's unbelievable. But the AI just seem to have this thing where it's just endless ERS around here. For some reason, they just seem to deploy it everywhere. And they can just run at a ridiculous pace, which is something we can't do at the moment. And there won't be a big difference on soft tyres, I'll be honest. You know, from our past experiences, I've expected more from the softs, and it hasn't really been the case. So it's going to be tough, this one. Just got to stay in the race somehow and hope for a miracle. That's the only way we're going to get something out of this. Oh my goodness me, the car is super unstable. I'm trying my hardest here to hang on. We've got a little train of cars up ahead, including, I believe, both Ferraris. But I don't have the pace here to hang on to Grosjean. I'm going to drain the battery and hope that I can stay within a second, but this is going to be cutting it fine. Oh my god, this is so tough. Big send there on the brakes to hope that I get within a second and manage to cling onto some DRS. Let's see if that's the case. Yes, it is. That was crucial. Had to stay in there, but I'm honestly hanging on. Oh, I've dropped out of DRS range. That's it. Game over. We're in trouble now. Big trouble. I've got no fuel or ERS to really fight with, so this is going to be bad news for us. Really bad news. Oh, come on. Why does the car feel so Okay, Charles Leclerc into the pits. First of the soft tyre runners to call it a day. Let's see if there's any other cars in the pit lane. Don't think there is. Nope, just Leclerc for now. And now Sebastian Vettel pits in the other Ferrari, so it seems like Ferrari do struggle for tyres. A few more cars in the pit lane this lap though. We've still got a little while to go yet until we pit, but my pace is absolutely terrible. We're just nowhere, so I really don't think we're scoring points today. You know, we get a safety car every single race, and the one where we actually need the safety car, we probably won't get one, which is a real shame, but this is going to be painful, this. More cars into the pits. Let's see where we are once this is all said and done. Looks like we've got one of the AlphaTauri staying out. That's probably Pierre Gasly. Russell pits as well.
George is coming in for his stop.
There we go. So we're now up to P4 in this race. Gasly stays out on the soft tyres. Gasly pits, as does Giovinazzi and Magnussen. Keep an eye on those two. They'll probably undercut me, and I'll be pretty close to them, if not maybe even behind them by the time I pit. I might pit next lap, I think. I could do this one, to be fair. I'll see. I'll judge the tyre at the end of the lap. Right, we're going to pit this lap. Let's see how this goes. I'm not super optimistic or confident. Let's just hope, though, pitting one lap earlier, our pace was okay, and we can somehow keep, you know, a position or two. But it wouldn't surprise me if we were actually net last, you know, P20. You know, it wouldn't surprise me one bit. So Verstappen, of course, has already done his stop. Mercedes staying out for a couple more laps, but we need a good stop from the boys here. If we could get a sub 2 seconds for a change, that would be sweet, but I don't think the team have invested in that either, so let's see how this goes. Yeah, 2.5, every stop's exactly the same, which is good consistency, but it's not good enough. P13, about to be P14, and probably P15 as there goes Grosjean. Here comes Kvyat. Can we get out behind Kvyat here?
Look after these tyres now. We want to finish the race on this compound.
Okay, so we're just ahead of Kimi. I've gone for a front wing adjustment in the pit lane, so I've got a slightly lower front wing now, so we're on 1 instead of 2. Looks like one of the Mercedes is breaking down though on the S section. Yellow flag, I can see that on minimap. Let's keep an eye on that, see what happens. Hamilton out the race. There it is. Ooh. Oh, man. Can you, like, the luck is unbelievable. I was meant to pit this lap, and I pit one lap earlier. Had I actually stayed out, I could have benefited from that massively. Mate, I mean, it's a good thing. You know, it's going to bring the pack closer together, but that's a shame. It will give me a chance to save fuel, though, which is nice. Okay, Ricciardo's in the pits, so we might gain 1 extra place here, which is good. So we're going to be P14 on soft tyres, which is decent. And I think we could be quicker on the restart. You know, we're not straight away. The restart is going to be tough. The AI are going to be really fast because they're going to be at full power. But after those first 2 laps, it could swing our way maybe. I'm not super confident. Again, I'm not getting my hopes up one bit. I'm well aware of the AI I like around here. But, you know, it could be an opportunity for us to maybe get a point this race. Depends how the soft tyres hold up. Well then, guys, here we go. It's time for the restart. This has to be perfect. We need to be aggressive and make sure we nail it off the get-go. Oh, that was close. Let's just back off a little bit here. Can I go to the inside of Kvyat maybe here? Not quite. Back to racing speed. There we go, green flag conditions. Alright, let's crack on with it then. Let's get to work straight away here. AI are going to be running full power for the first 2 laps like they were at the start of the race. That's always the same case with the safety car. But after that, let's see if we can maybe fight back and try and get something out of this. Points are on the table here, but we need to be perfect. Absolutely perfect. Oh, Grosjean with the lock-up. Let's see if we can get by. We're already dropping off, unfortunately. The top 10 are just so rapid around here. Oh, we got Bottas in the pits. Okay. Oh, wow. Bottas must have done something on the safety car. I can't understand that otherwise. Unless, actually, he didn't pit under the safety car. Oh, my God. Maybe Bottas didn't pit at all. Oh, wow. Mercedes have absolutely messed it up. Hamilton out of the race and Bottas, they've completely ruined his strategy. That's an absolute throwaway bottle job from Mercedes there. Right, so we're P13. Oh, wow. Side by side into here. And Kvyat's done it. He's absolutely just sent it around the outside of Grosjean here. We're going to try and get through. Looks like Grosjean could be having car issues. He might be struggling. I've got nothing on the radio comms, but it looks like it. So we're going to go through P12. Right, we need to get a couple of AlphaTauris here for some points this afternoon. That's the plan. Kvyat and Gasly up the road. Let's see if we can do this. DRS will now be enabled, which is key. Okay, it's game on then. Gasly versus Kvyat versus us for the final point. We've dropped Grosjean and Raikkonen, so
there's 5 laps of fuel remaining.
It's going to be us three for this final point. Let's see if we can try and get that. I'd love it if I could. I'd be so happy if I could score 1 point here today. Looks like Kvyat might get the move on Gasly here. I'm going to try and get close to pick up the pieces. I don't really have a lot of ERS, which is a bit of a shame, but there we go. Kvyat going around the outside of Pierre Gasly for P10. Hopefully Kvyat has used up his ERS by doing that. I'm going to try and get Gasly here. See if I can split the Alpha Tauris possibly. That would be perfect for us. I'd love to get this move into turn 3, but I feel like I haven't got enough ERS to really go for it, which is a real shame. Kvyat is absolutely going for this. I'm getting a great run on Gasly here. Oh, it's a bit wide on the brakes. Not good. Bit too much overspeed, unfortunately. I just can't seem to get close anywhere, unfortunately. Like, I'm following. I've probably got better pace slightly, but I just can't get any kind of overtaking opportunity anywhere. I just don't see where it's going to happen. I really don't. You know, there's no real area. Maybe turn 3, but I'm nowhere near close enough to challenge. So, unfortunately, I can't see us scoring a point now, the way this is going. Kvyat's pulling a bit too much. You know, he's too fast. I'm kind of hoping he runs out of energy, but I don't think that's going to be the case. But this is where it would happen, into this corner here, but I just don't have the pace, and Ricciardo is now catching me up as well.
Some information on Ocon. They seem to have an issue.
Ooh, okay. Ocon's ahead of us. Right. Okay, that could be a lifeline, because I'm struggling at the minute. I just can't get close enough. You know, it's literally impossible. Kvyat has overtaken Gasly. He's running at a ridiculous pace, and you can see I'm struggling for grip at the minute, and also just overall pace. I'm actually going to get dropped out of the ERS range here because the AI are picking up their ERS mode again, which is so annoying. I hate it when this happens, but the AI are going full power, so I just can't match it. There we go. Dropped out of range, and even Ricciardo's starting to catch me now. This is why I hate Silverstone. The AI just have so much straight line speed. I don't understand where it comes from. Okay, here we go. Last lap of the race. Ricciardo absolutely flying on a charge, but we're going to just about hold him off. Perez picks up the win. That's a big, big surprise. Of course, he was the big beneficiary from the Mercedes cars absolutely throwing this race away. So Perez picks up the win, and we unfortunately finish outside the points.
All right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
Well, they've done a brilliant job, I must say, under some intense pressure to take a well-earned victory here at the British Grand Prix. So, Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
Well, the safety car completely changed the race, didn't it? It's hard to say exactly what would have happened without it, but there's no question that they came out of that situation in a good position.
The Racing Point team will be very happy with today's performance and the final result. Another display of excellent driving and excellent teamwork, and a well-deserved first-place finish.
Well, there we go then, guys. That is it for the race here today. A bit of a disappointment, but then again, to be expected. You know, in many ways, this is what 110% AI should be like. But at the same time, it does hurt knowing that I'm quite powerless. I feel like I understand how 110 AI should work, and this isn't the correct way for it, because this just feels like they abuse ERS. It just doesn't feel right. You know, they just constantly pull away on the straight all the time, and you've got no response. Even though I was running 1.6 wings, I was so slow on the straight. So, a disappointing race. But Perez wins. Lance Stroll on the podium with him, making it a 1-3 for Racing Point. Verstappen second. Sainz P4 ahead of Lando Norris in P5. Albon, Leclerc, Vettel, Ocon, and Kvyat round out the top 10. So Ocon held on to P9 with car issues. Gasly misses out on the points, along with ourselves, Ricciardo, Raikkonen, Grosjean, Giovinazzi, Russell, Magnussen, and Bottas. And Hamilton, the shock retirement from the race here today. We look at the driver standings. We lose the third place to Verstappen, of course, as you expect. And Perez moves up to P5 and actually gains quite a few points on us. We then look at the constructors, and we also dropped to fourth. Ferrari overtake us here today, of course, both cars scoring points for them. And also reality kind of hitting us in the face a little bit. Racing Point also gained a lot of points on us today because of that big podium result for them. So realistically, we're looking at P5 probably in the next couple of races. But either way, guys, fingers crossed the next race is better for us. You know, the Hungarian Grand Prix should suit our car more, not so power sensitive, and also I feel like I've got a good setup around there. So yeah, the next race is Hungary, but that is it for Silverstone. We're now going to move into the main menu.
Did you struggle to get through all that traffic today?
Yeah, I think so. We had issues. You know, this was not a good track for us. I think we struggled all weekend, and we've just got to try and do better. You know, we didn't have a good race today. I think this was a bit of a reality check in a way, and you know, a reminder that we still have a long way to go.
You're surpassing all expectations. Can anything or anyone stop you?
No, hopefully not. You know, we're a good team, and I think as long as we're all together and they're behind me, I think we'll do pretty well.
How do you think this team will be feeling after that result?
I'm not really too concerned, to be honest.
Do you feel that your teammate put on a good show for their home crowd?
I hope so. You know, I'm hopeful. George did a good race. Obviously, I was doing my own thing, so yeah, we tried to get a good result for the fans, but at least for me, it wasn't really meant to be. But you know, we tried to put on a show for the fans, so yeah. Well, after the race, we look at the rivalry breakdown. Once again, Sebastian Vettel does outscore us here today, and it's looking like, unless we pull something out the bag in the next race, he's probably going to wrap up the rivalry. So we need to try and hopefully pull something out of the hat in the next race in Hungary, as we also gain a decent bit of driver acclaim. I can't lie, this is getting quite frustrating now, but another upgrade has failed. The first major one failed, and the second major one has now failed as well. So we are going to have to go ahead and repurchase it. Luckily, it will arrive just in time for the Hungarian Grand Prix, which is great. Looking elsewhere, we do have a minor engine upgrade available to us. That's all we can really purchase right now, so I'm going to go ahead and get down the car. That should arrive, in theory, before the Hungarian Grand Prix as well. So as it stands, we currently have one engine upgrade on the way, one for the chassis, one for the aero, with the chassis one being a major upgrade. So we're going to skip ahead to the next race. As you can see, we've got quite a few upgrades to come in, so let's see if, fingers crossed, they all arrive. Well, good news, everything has arrived and the car is ready for Hungary. Hopefully we'll try and throw some more upgrades on in the next episode. But guys, that is going to be it for today's episode. As always, thank you to the members of the channel for supporting. If you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, guys, as we're on the way to 60k subs, and finally check out the 2 videos on screen. But guys, I'll see you next time in Hungary. Until then, take care, and let's goodbye from me.